Do the hard work up front, which is identify your ideal client and their problems and get in front of them, right? And don't offload that to somebody else to tell you what to do. Don't be on a rush to hire a marketing department to tell you who your ideal client is. You have to do the hard work to really understand who that is, what problem you're solving, how you're doing it, and then you can go out and communicate that message.
I am so excited about today's episode of The Courageous Choice. Today, my guests are friends and clients and people that I have a lot of respect for, IIona and Takaya Brunner of Brunner Accounting. And we're going to get to hear a little bit about their story and the courageous choices that they've made in their lives and what courage means to them. So welcome, guys. I'm so excited to have you join us this morning.
Thank you, Jamie. We're excited to be here.
Very excited.
Yeah, we're not experienced podcast guests. We're super excited and grateful for the invitation.
I am grateful to hear your story and that you would take time to join, because I know as a fellow business owner, honestly, finding time in your day can be really hard. So thank you for making that a priority.
Sure.
It's our pleasure.
Will you share with me and our audience a little bit about your journey?
Yeah. You want me to start?
Yeah.
So actually, I'm first generation American. My parents are immigrants. They came to the United States as young adults. And so I grew up in a very immigrant heavy mentality, in that if you work hard enough, you can accomplish anything you want. America's the land of opportunity. And I actually think that served me really well. My mom started multiple businesses. My dad was involved in those businesses too. And so I think that entrepreneur spirit has been around for me for a long time. Unfortunately, financially, being immigrants and not understanding like the foundations of business building, it's not like those amounted to incredible exits. But I do think that this idea of being able to create something has always been around for me. Anyway, that being said, after going to college, we met at Claremont Mechanic College, Takaya and I. So it was neat. We got an education, found a life partner, worked out really well. I went on to get my MBA just because I got into their 4+1 program. I was offered a scholarship to go there. So I thought, okay, why not? I can use that extra year to study for my CPA exam, which I did. I banged out those tests. And so it was a great choice for me. And then I started working at the Big Four accounting firm. So I was at PricewaterhouseCoopers for 5 years and then left and joined KPMG for another 3. And then after being at massive firms for 8 years, I just was starting to think a little bit more about what actually I wanted out of a career and the environment I wanted to do it in. I realized that big firm environment was not something I wanted to do up until partnership, or until I was partner. Not that was like on the table. I was a 3rd-year manager. So what do you do now? Do you want to continue down this path? And I realized I loved public accounting. I didn't want to go internal into a big company and be inside an accounting department or a tax department. I really loved working with different clients and different problems and different industries. And that variety that you get was very satisfying. So I joined a smaller firm in Burbank, and that was a great experience. It solidified the fact that I love public accounting, but working with smaller clients was really where my passion was versus the larger clients I was working on at the big firms. But after being there for a few years, and the plan was to make partner, they were looking for someone to join them. I was looking for that opportunity. I realized that I just couldn't have it all. I couldn't, at that point, we already had 1 kid, a second on the way. And I just wanted it all. I wanted to have the amazing career. I wanted to be a partner at a firm. And I wanted to be the kind of mom and wife that I envisioned. And I just couldn't figure out how to do it under someone else's rules. So I had always talked about potentially doing our own thing. It wasn't serious, or we didn't have plans or a date or any of that. But I think having kids really accelerated that for us. So that's how we got to where we are now, and partners at Brunner Accounting. So that's my little quick journey.
That's great.
Summary of my journey.
Mine is, we ended up at the same place starting in college. So I'm originally from Canada. I was Vancouver Island, came down here for college. My dad got recruited by the California Teachers Union up in Canada, and he came down and taught in Fontana, and I wanted to go to college near him. So I went there, and yeah, that's where I met Ilona after school. I did a little bit of a different route. I went more on the consulting side. I ended up at KPMG. I actually recruited Ilona there, got my CPA, and then worked with a really great opportunity. My boss at KPMG, she left to start an analytics practice at a big food and beverage company. Followed her on that journey and worked with that company and helped build that practice up from 2 to 3 of us. And I think it ended up being over 100. And then I got an offer I couldn't refuse from Brunner Accounting and jumped both feet in. I think November 2019, I gave my notice. And we've been talking about this for a while. Ilona said, hey, we either need to hire somebody or we've been talking about this. Let's go all in. And yeah, so January 1st, 2020, we were both full in. All the ships were burned. We only had forward to go. And we joke it's like a horror movie, right? You start looking back on it. You're like, oh, someone's coughing in this airport. And you're like, oh, nothing's going to happen. And yeah, we had no health insurance. We both were doing this all in. And then the world shut down March 2020. And yeah,
we found out we were expecting our third kid also in January 2020. We're like, oh, okay, this is great. Yeah. Everything just happened at the same mark.
Yeah, everything worked at the same. As we start talking about, I think, other topics on your list, I think one of them, as we're starting to allude to now, is the ships were burned. We had no options. We have a house. We had to take care of all this stuff. We just went for it and survived. Yeah.
Survived.
There you go.
You're totally surviving and thriving and being able to like have it all, as you said. It's really interesting, right? Because so many people strive to get the job at the Big Four or strive to, and then to progress. And I can totally see that place of, am I all in on that, or am I going to take a different thing? But was there fear, or what? How did that show up for you? Your family, I'm sure they were so proud of everything you had accomplished, but maybe because they had been entrepreneurs, they might have supported that. What did that show?
Sure.
How did that show for you guys?
I actually think our family was really excited and almost knew and believed that it would work out more than we did. Because I don't know, I think especially
part of the culture on Ilona's side, and just open is like, why are you working for somebody else? Kind of thing like that, right? Yeah. It's, come on, everybody's got to do their own business. You got to do it yourself. How long are you going to wait until you do that? Yeah, I know.
Honestly, it's just like, don't be scared, right? To take that chance. And at the end of the day, when I say you regret the things you didn't try versus the things, you did. And so that they were always super supportive of that. And I think the timing ended up being a little bananas because of COVID. So I think that they ended up having to support us more on the personal side with childcare. And so it did feel like a team effort with making this thing survive, because we had lost our childcare and we were expecting our third kid, so we had to be really careful. And it was just a lot that first couple of years. But I think we were very lucky that we have a really amazing support structure.
Yeah, my dad retired after our first child, and he lives 10 minutes away. Her mom lives 10 minutes away. And so they tag teamed and looked after our kids while we were in the growth phase. And so it really took a village, build everything. And looking back, everybody had a hand in whatever success that we have today.
Yeah, you don't ever do it alone, right? Like, I really believe that is almost never do you have a person actually succeeding completely on their own. There's either like a mentor that supports you or pushes you or catches you right when you're about to quit, or a spouse that, takes a load off here so you can do what, right? Again, for us, it was our parents really stepped up when we needed them most to just, oh my gosh, like we literally have no other source of income coming in. Like we have to work and do this thing. So can you help us? And so luckily they were able to, and we figured it all out. And then we took them on a nice trip to thank them for all of the sacrifice. That was super enjoyable to actually be able to spend time with them and be like, oh, look, now we can actually afford to treat you to something nice after all the time you spent. Doesn't, of course, compensate them at all for everything, but just like a nice gesture. So that felt really good. So yeah, we all succeeded together. I really believe that.
It's really interesting. I think that point about it takes a village and that there's always people around us. When I get asked a lot about like, how can I go on my own? What should I do? And it's always about leveraging those relationships, and whether it's family or the mentor or someone who just inspires you People are really willing to help generally, which is interesting. I'm going to pivot for 1 second. There's something that I think we talk a lot about the gig economy. We talked about this when we were together. Like you guys were at the top of your game. You had options. You didn't decide to become entrepreneurs because you were unemployed and couldn't get a job, right? This was really intentional in your part. And I think it's important that people really understand, like really talented people are choosing to work differently. And even in your practice with Brunner Accounting, like you guys are pretty intentional about the kinds of clients that you serve. You want to talk a little bit about your philosophy and values around that?
Sure.
Yeah, sure. That was probably, as you're taking through, what are the biggest decisions that you made? Starting the business is one of them. One of them as well is saying, who's our ideal client, right? And what is our why? And they dovetail together because, again, it's when the times are tough, the things that are why you're doing things really drives you to things. And it also helps make your decisions. So if you think beforehand, what do I want? If you don't make decisions, you're making a decision for yourself. So I bring that up because you say, why do we start this business? To begin with, we wanted flexibility and we wanted to take our own time. The next is we wanted to really be there for our kids, and we defined we want flexibility, we want all that. So that helped into saying what type of client allows us to build the kind of business that allows us to live that life, and then building those values together and then finding other people that have similar values so then they can come on the journey with you. And then saying those kinds of clients that would help you build a business this way, what problems do they have, right? What problems do they have that we can solve for them? Because we're in the business of problem solving. We're not in the business of, as we talked earlier, giving our clients more homework to do, right? A lot of people give us homework to do and then we're bad taste in our mouth. We're really here saying, how can we take things off their plate so they can focus on what they want? And then we can insert ourselves in those areas and we do those things over and over. We figure out a process on how to do those things over and over so that then it gives us the things that we wanted when we created the business. And that helps us as well when new client opportunities come through and it's not an ideal client relationship. And there are a better service providers for them, especially for us when we think sometimes it's easy on the sort of small business front that we are to say yes to everything. But then that suddenly becomes a time sink because then it's not an ideal client relationship. So you're always forcing it. So then you can't focus on what you need to focus on. And then you're always in grind mode, essentially having a job that probably pays less and that it's more stressful as opposed to focused on building a business that can then provide and create the lifestyle you're looking for. So that
so
was
powerful.
Yeah, that's one of the focuses.
So our ideal client is a small business owner. And the reason we focus on business owners, small business owners, we define that between 1 to 10 million in revenue. Generally, we have clients above that, below that, but it's consistent work. We can solve their problems. We know what they're going through, so we can relate. We definitely walk in their shoes, and we don't have these crazy tax seasons, to be really frank. We've done that for a while, and you have a few months in the spring and then a few months in the summer, and it ends up being half the year. And then there are always fire drills. And so it feels literally like half the year you're just not available to people around you. And so we couldn't do that. So what we do is we just essentially act like our client's back office accounting and tax team. And so because of that, we're able to plan out our schedules, plan out the work. There's consistency and predictability in the work. And so that allows for not peaks and valleys throughout the year, but more, great, let's schedule it out. What are the resources we need? We don't have to work till midnight to pay for payroll and our mortgage and everything else.
No, I think it's amazing. I know you guys have also been able to really leverage kind of the different strengths that you each bring and the experience. And you have a much broader team than we're just seeing you guys as the leaders, and you have a broader team. But I think like what you were talking about, Takaya, with just that intentionality, right? Like fear can definitely drive, I'm going to take any business that comes, right? Because you just want revenue and you're afraid. But then you fill it up with the stuff that isn't necessarily what you want. And you either create a situation where you don't even love your own gig, right? Or you don't have space for the right things. And so I don't know, is there any additional advice you might have for someone who's thinking of going out on their own and feeling all those things? Yeah. What advice do you have?
Let me go for just because I'm in the house and then you can go. But I would say is you're going to be okay, right? You can always find another job. back yourself, and you'll be surprised at how well it works out just from giving our own example. But then in terms of the actual advice, like that's like actual real advice as I would do is do the hard work up front, which is identify your ideal client and their problems and get in front of them, right? And don't offload that to somebody else to tell you what to do. Don't be on a rush to hire a marketing department to tell you who your ideal client is. You have to do the hard work to really understand who that is, what problem you're solving, how you're doing it. And then you can go out and communicate that message. And then also take a look back because, at the beginning, our ideal client was if you're breathing and you need your taxes done, like we will take you because we started from zero.
Deal.
I know. So you needed to pay our mortgage. But then at a certain point, there could be these different inflection points in your business. From zero to a certain number, you're stable and you've got that. And then hopefully that stability can then free you up to then be more intentional about that next tier of ideal client, right? And then people come in and out of your journey at different points for the specific reason they were there. And not everybody is someone that's going to be on your journey the entire time. And so what that means is at the beginning of your business, maybe those clients are there to help you get to where you are now. But it doesn't mean don't feel badly about maybe they're no longer an ideal fit and you just have to help them find another provider that can support them, because what's going to happen is then you may not service them as they deserve to be serviced, or they're putting more time from you. And sometimes it's easier just to say, hey, look, we're just not a good fit anymore. Thank you so much for your support throughout the early parts of our business. And then really be intentional with who your ideal client is, because if you don't have, that's when you start running into some of those challenges waiting. So don't be shy and upfront those conversations, cut them when it's no longer a good fit, and be okay with it, because you will always find new business. Don't be scared about not finding new business. Back yourself in finding new business and be confident in that. So then, you're not beholden to those things. That's what I would say.
Yeah. I think for me, a big part of my advice to someone that's going forward is it's hard to not listen to all the advice and the comments from people who are trying to be helpful, but I think you do need to be very certain about what you want and what you can do, and almost in a way have a chip on your shoulder and be like, I'm going to do it anyway. Thanks for the advice. And just be polite. I'm like, okay. It's like having a new baby. Everyone has an advice about you becoming parents, and you just like be polite, nod, and then do your own thing and you move on with their life. But I think initially before in 2019, when remote practices were not a thing, meeting clients on Zoom was not common. There were many people that thought, well, you could never work from a bedroom in your house. You're never going to have a successful practice with remote employees, entirely remote. Nobody's coming together ever. If you don't have your name on a door in some nice building, you're not going to get the kind of clients you want. And that was the scariest thing for me. It's just you're not going to get taken seriously, because the people who will want to hire you and pay you the kind of money you're looking for, they're not going to trust you, right? They're going to want to give their money to a firm on Ventura Boulevard, right? And I said, okay, thanks for the recommendation. And then I ignored them. And I really believe that as long as you're servicing people well and they know that you care and you're doing a stellar job, they just won't care. And it turned out we were right. And then, of course, it was even accelerated because of COVID. But I know everyone's, COVID really changed things. And yeah, of course it did. But I think COVID simply accelerated it. I think we were headed in this direction way before COVID happened. It's just, it really, spiked people having to do it. And I just think you have to know what you want, and you just have to be willing to do the work and ignore people's opinions, because at the end of the day, you have to live your life. They're not going to live it for you. And so I just say, ignore everyone else. And if you think it's doable, then it probably is, right?
It's so powerful, you guys. No, it's that focus. It's that alignment with yourself, right? If you're true to yourself, you're going to deliver better for your clients, and they deserve that, like you said. And knowing, like, people aren't you, right? So I just think there's something really powerful in that, because we all try to learn from others, and obviously we respect people's opinions. But if you're an entrepreneur and you're doing your own thing and you're inspired, only you know what is really inside and how you can add that value. But I love that you guys are living that. I think it's awesome. My husband was also an immigrant, and he's a general contractor, and he'll say, "I'm unemployable." He says, he doesn't
True.
think, yeah. Once you go on your own and you
Hey.
find your path, yeah. So when you think
Ilona
about,
said that many times. I don't think I've said that. Ilona has definitely said that.
Because it's true.
it's funny because you said that the fallback that a lot of us think is, well, we can always get another job. And like, it's true from a skill set perspective, but it definitely would have to be the right fit. I don't know that it's,
No.
I joked, but I don't think I could because not now, because it's one of those where it's just the lifestyle you've built, not so much. I say there's a certain number that you make that anything above it doesn't marginally increase your happiness. But I think it's the lifestyle of being an entrepreneur, especially in the day and age we live now. But also it's saying entrepreneurs understand if you try and build a business like that, where your values are a certain way, then as you try and find people to partner with and work with that have those similar values, again, you just strive to say, hey, you can be a great parent, you can be a great spouse, you can be a great professional.
You can be healthy.
All of those, could happen at the same time. If you're stressed out all the time. So.
It's huge. We may have talked about it, but if there's a values level disconnect, it's unsustainable. So if that's in your work, if that's in your life, and if that's in your partner, if that's in your boss, whatever. And so if we can do that for ourselves, which we all can and really have to, that's where our personal strength comes in, is in our kind of individuality. And I just think it's really inspiring to hear you guys doing it. You have young kids, you're a young family, you're killing it, you're serving, you're focused on customer service and delivering value. I just think it's really inspirational to see what you're bringing to the world. Yeah. Okay, one final question then. So when you think about courage, leadership, resilience, what are some of the biggest learnings?
I think that for me, just obviously, what is the definition? It's like being scared and doing it anyway. Of course, that's at the core of it. But I think just really not letting anything shake your tree and knowing that when you do feel shaken, you just you have to look back and look at all the successes you've had and how far you've come. Courage to me is, okay, it's hard. It's overwhelming. It's stressful. If it were easy, everyone would do it, right? And then taking what you need in order to get back into the right mindset, and also being brave enough to say, okay, I think I do need a day, right? To whatever, feel sorry for myself, call a few people that I know can help me, and then keep going, right? Because sometimes it feels like you're failing just because you admit that you're having a hard time. So sometimes it's okay to admit you're having a hard time and recognizing what you need to do to move forward. I think there have been many times, but I specifically remember we found two people where we're literally looking for one, and we said yes to both of them. And then we're looking at our budget being like, oh my goodness, this is going to be stressful. So it'd be nice to bring in some more revenue. I literally was like cold calling every single contact, being like, hey, we had so much capacity. We made a bad decision, I think, and said yes to two amazing people, but now I'm freaking out. So we really need your help. And I probably can cover this for another couple months, but then I'm worried. And everyone's like, oh, wow, okay. It looks like they need more work. And just having the courage to also admit that you're scared and you're having a hard time and then you need help. That's not an easy thing for people to do. But yeah, just don't feel scared about admitting your shortcomings or insecurities, some scary decisions you've made, and then asking for people to help you on that journey. But there is no option to go back. You just have to figure it out. Use every avenue you can to do that. And yeah, I think it's okay to admit to people that you need advice or support or introductions, whatever it is. I think that's been for me. And just, keep going. I don't know. That's all I can say. It's not some incredible
I think that's great.
That's what I feel.
Yeah, and I think we touched on a bunch of this stuff, but resilience is, just, not taking no for an answer, but also, understanding why you're doing things, understanding that the vision that you have, right? And realizing not everybody's going to be coming on this journey with you, and that's okay. And then sometimes, I think this has come up before for me anyways, and Ilona's got to remind me, is you can't take things too personally, right? It's just business, and everybody thinks more about themselves than others. And why would they say this? Why'd this happen? It's not actually that important to them in their lives. It was probably just an offhand comment, and don't worry about it. You can't read their minds. And so that helps on the resilience front because you get in your own head, acknowledge that, move on. And I do also think sort of this entrepreneur journey it can be pretty lonely in that it's hard to find peers that are at a similar level or mindset than you. So just look for opportunities to get together with other people that you can bounce ideas off of. Luckily, Ilona and I did it together. So we have that feast. We can bounce ideas off. We can support each other. We can think about that and build on top of it. But if you don't have that, then...
But even then, we look for others, right? Because sure, sometimes you're talking to each other, but then you're going, we need an outside perspective or a fresh perspective. And so having that community of people is really important. We've joined some networking groups. We luckily have some great connections from our prior jobs. And I do think you have to keep those people around you. And it's nice to just like personal connections, business connections, all of that, continue to put effort into nurturing those.
It's like a friend group where you go to college and you see somebody every day and you're great friends, and then life happens and suddenly you're 25 years past and you wonder what happened. But it's because you don't make the effort anymore and because life's tough. So I think there's always a relationship we can look back on and say, I wonder if I would have called that person even once a year, we would have still been in touch, right? So identifying those relationships, continue to build off of it, because as you said earlier, relationships are key, and you never know who is going to be in the right position at the right time to help you at the right moment. And it never hurts to just be kind and caring. I don't know if that's ever really been negative. I mean, you may not see it right away,
but helping when you can, right? We've received so much help from people. And so when we are asked to talk to someone about something, just as give them some tips, we're so happy to do it. They thank us, but actually I'm like, thank you, because I feel like it's my chance to give back to others because so many people have been so generous with us. Just ask for the help, ask for the favor, because many times they're more than happy to do that. Yeah.
In more ways than one, I think I needed all of your messages this morning. So thank you for sharing with us and being so generous with your time. If someone is inspired and thinks that you guys are going to be the right partner for their business and they want to reach out, how can they find you?
Our website is a great place to go. BrunerAccounting.com. Easy to get in touch with us. A little bit of history as to who we are. Talks about our core values. So
just email us Takaya@BrunerAccounting.com or Ilona at BrunerAccounting.com. Yeah. Our website has hello at Bruner Accounting, but I hope you check
of us.
I hope you keep an eye on that one.
I know, our aliases. Anyway, thank you again, you guys. Thank you so much for your time, your great information. Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to The Courageous Choice. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a 5-star review to help get the word out about the podcast. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on any of our future conversations. If you'd like to know more about gig talent, please visit gigtalentagency.com or email us at podcast@gigtalentagency.com. See you in the next episode.